Right before I start this video, I wanted to talk about Lauren, the oldest daughter, and her husband Juan. One good thing about me having to get off the trail because of the hurricane was that I got to sit in the living room via the phone chat, video phone chat, which Lauren and Juan have a baby. And the baby's name is Mylena Sue. So, congratulations, Lauren and Juan. It was so nice to be off the trail and get to share that with you, because if the hurricane didn't happen, I would have never seen it. All right, Saturday, September 15th. Gonna keep the legs a little limber. We'll just take a short 12-mile hike today on the southern terminus of the Laurel Highland hiking trail. So, see what happens. Alright, so Richard and I are going to just go out to the first shelter area, which is 6.3 miles, have lunch, and then come back. There's some decent elevation gain and loss on the southern terminus here. But I'm going to get some hiking in here today because the word is Shenandoah is open today. Well, now that they're open today, Gigi will be taking me back on Tuesday, and we'll continue the trek south. But today on this trail, this area of Pennsylvania is steep deep in French and Indian War history. So I have some facts and some figures for you on this first 6 miles from the 1700s. And it's appropriate that we have the Brit here, the American and the British fighting the French and Indians.
Wasn't that a guerrilla war?
I think they all are. Alright, so I wanted to show you this pretty innocent looking water crossing here. This is the crossing that caused my initial problem with my ankle. Gigi and I were hiking. This was wet. I come across here. By the time I got to the end here, I slipped, went down in there. That's where I damaged my ankle. And with good insurance, I was too dumb to go and get it fixed. So here we are, the first 2.3 miles into the Laurel Highland hiking trail. And the French and Indian War, perhaps the most colorful chapter in the history of the Laurel Hill region, surrounds the events of the French and Indian War. As school children, we all learned of Washington's surprise attack against the French at Juvenile Glen, which set the world on fire, and of his narrow escape later at Fort Necessity, of Braddock's bloody defeat and General Forbes' successful campaign. With little imagination, this historic era can come alive as we trudge through the landscape where much of it occurred. So we're here at the first 2.3, looking towards the above opposing Allegheny or Youghiogheny Gorge. Early British strategists assigned great importance to this natural gap through Laurel Hill. Lewis Evans, the noted cartographer and engineer, felt the control of this gorge was essential to the settlement of the western lands.
If we have it, we have the gate of Ohio. If the French, they have the gate to the sea.
So let's pretend for the moment that you were sitting here at this exact spot in late May of 1754. A canoe slowly appears, rounding the broad meandering loop below. In it is a young officer in American military dress, 4 other colonials, and an Indian guide. The man is 21-year-old Lieutenant Colonel Washington, searching for a river route to the forks of the Ohio. The Great Falls of Ohiopyle and the raging rapids below will frustrate the idea of a water passage and make Washington skirt south of the Laurel Hill to the Great Meadow, where he will later be tested at Fort Necessity in July. The southern overland route would also lead to Braddock's tragic rout in 1755. All right, there's the Laurel Ridge and the gorge down below. But we're about a mile and a half away from the destination for the day.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Gonna have lunch, then we'll just backtrack on out of here. Alrighty. I can't remember what shelter it was that I showed you my platypus gravity work system, but I said I had a Sawyer, and this is what I use on my day hikes. It's perfectly fine. It's a great filter. It just doesn't filter enough water quick enough for me while through hiking, but on my daily hikes, this is my go-to system. All right, earlier when we were sitting on that rock and Richard and I were reading, we were reading from this book, the Laurel Highland Trail, put out by the Sierra Club. This is obviously a reprint because the first copy I've ever seen or read was back in 1978. My old girlfriend Kathy's brother had it. Matter of fact, most of the gear we used hiking was mixed. And this area where we are right now, and that particular shelter right there is the exact shelter where I learned about the AT for the very first time as a young man in 1978. So, it's pretty cool. And to think that many years later that I'm actually attempting the through hike on it. Alright, so we're like 3.5 miles till we get back to the vehicle. It's a nice hike, good lunch. But Richard's struggling a little. See, when I left for the AT back in February, he started riding his exercise bike and getting in shape. Well, when I got hurt, he got off the trail. Well, off his bike while I was off the trail. And he's just been working hard instead of hardly working, right?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So this is a desk to trail fail. I am hurting with a capital H, as we say in the UK.
That's okay. Couple miles to go. It's all good.
Yeah, legs are hurting, feet are hurting, and I am really going to hurt tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm leaving for the trail Tuesday. You can come back next weekend and do the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea, probably.
Okay.